Okay, a wonderful evening to everyone. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Empowering Teachers for Success. I'm Amanda Edwin, an educator, empowerment advocate, and I own the Facebook page Empowering Teachers for Success and the Facebook group The Teachers Lounge. Now, this is a way for me to reach more educators in a space where I can follow through on my goal to empower my fellow educators anywhere around the world. And I've incorporated the Facebook Lives as a part of that goal to bring value through the amazing people that I meet along my journey and whom I believe have something incredible to share with us. And the theme throughout the last few episodes have been mental health and emotional well-being. And this evening, we are going to continue with that thread or that topic. And my guest this evening is based in the UK, in London, UK, and she has readily agreed to chat with me tonight. And I really appreciate that, despite all the the time difference for us. So I'm going to bring in Debbie Enoe, and Debbie is going to share with us a lot about who she is, what she does, and it's going to be a really interesting night again for the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So Debbie is from London, UK, and originally from Grenada. So yes, another Caribbean girl in the house. Thank you, Debbie. All right. And welcome tonight. So I'm going to give you this time now to introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about what you do.
Okay, thank you very much, Amanda, for getting me on. I do appreciate it. Yes, there is a time difference. It's Minister 12 over here. But I'm normally up late anyway, so that's not so much of an issue. Yes, as Amanda just said, I am originally from the Caribbean, Grenada, stroke Carriacou, and I have been in London most of my life. The majority of my life have been educated in England from secondary school up to university, etc. And I have been an educator for over 25 years. Oh my goodness, so long. For over 25 years, and I have done a range of teaching from early years to university level. And my background is psychology. So I'm a psychologist as well as an educator and a coach. I also coach female educators who have lost the passion for educating, although they have been in education for a long time. But due to a number of challenges, they have actually lost focus of what they really want to do. So that's an aspect I teach them. Because my background is psychology, what I use is a lot of mindset, because as we know, the power of the mind is incredible. Mm-hmm. And the fact that to move forward, you need to change your mindset. And unfortunately, there is where a lot of educators are stuck. They're stuck in the sense that their mindset is one aspect, and as a result of being stuck, they're unable to move forward because there's a lot of fear. As much as we as educators are educating students, we also have a barrage of fear. So due to a number of fears, it actually prevents them from moving forward. And it could also be as a result of them not taking care of themselves. Self-care is another big aspect of mine. And we know educators take care of everyone else except themselves.
That's very true. Mm-hmm.
So that's, those are some of the things I currently do. I do quite a lot of teaching still because I love teaching. Teaching is my passion and is my calling. And I also coach alongside my teaching. And being in the education field have given me a number of tools and it's given me a number of experiences. So as a result of that, I feel I still need to remain in teaching because I am actually seeing firsthand what is happening.
Right.
Both from the educator perspective and from the student's perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very true because, for me as well, education is my passion. It's very much who I am. So I understand where you're coming from in terms of what you're doing as a teacher, what you're doing as a coach, and trying to help the educators who are stuck in that position where they reach a point where they don't really want to go on anymore.
Mm.
Okay, they want to quit. They don't know what else to do. And this is going to lead us now into COVID, because COVID-19 has put a whole new spin on what teachers are expected to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I know you do a lot of online teaching as well. I started doing a lot of online teaching myself, and all the teachers who are around the globe, I'm sure, those who've never been exposed to it have their own challenges with that. So, what are some challenges you have experienced as an online teacher now, right? And what are some of the other, what are teachers telling you when you talk to them as to what their challenges are right now?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Where can I start? It's big. When we actually had the first set of lockdown, I actually taught online, and it was just teaching online to the students. There were a number of challenges in itself, because as an educator, as you well know, we have been educated in the physical classroom. So all we know is how to navigate the physical classroom. We know how to go close up to the students, because we are social beings, and that's how we feel the connection of the students. They feel us. We actually read the body language, etc. However, COVID actually came in and put a spanner in the works.
Mm-hmm.
I've also said that COVID have actually given educators a new set of tools which we should use to our advantage. However, there are a number of challenges, but with everything we get through in life, there are challenges and there must be pluses. But sadly, because we are new to the environment, we tend to see a lot of the challenges more than the triumph. But for me, there have been a lot of triumphs, because I now have a whole new set of skills which I would never have had there not been COVID. And I'm sure that for all the educators out there, whether or not they want to embrace it, that they have learned a set of skills, it is a fact. Because I now know how to do the Zoom. I now know how to do Google Classroom. I'm not saying it was without challenges. Yes, it has challenges, but any new thing, is I say to educators, you need to see this new platform as when you first became a teacher and you were in the physical classroom, you didn't know anything. You were just using it as a way to understand how to teach. Because when we actually did our first lesson plan, as any educator, no educator could tell me differently, we overplanned. We had so many things on this lesson plan that we only got through less than half, and we're thinking, what's wrong? Is there a problem? Did I not do it right? But as you become more experienced in the field, you realize that you are over planning.
Right.
In the same way, we now need to see the online platform and see this as we just come from teaching school, and we're now learning how to navigate this new platform. And we need to look at it in the same way as when we started teaching for the very first time.
For the very first time.
Don't do that. You are going to have high level of stress and burnout. Because I sat there one day and said to myself, hold on, but you need to sit as if you just start teaching. How you did things and how you had to learn things, how you had to learn the students, how you had to learn what to do, how you were over planning. It's the same way. And as soon as you start looking at it like that, life becomes much more interesting, much more bearable. And you're then able to start navigating this new normal we've got.
The new normal, yes.
Yeah.
Because I found myself, and you're right, when you now begin to teach, you're entering the classroom for the first time, you do overplan. You plan because you want your lesson to be perfect. You don't want to mess it up. But after a while, you're in the job for a long time. You don't necessarily go into that length of planning because you pretty much know what you're doing by this time. After 10, 15, 20 years in the job, you can walk into the classroom and you can teach. Okay? Because now you have the plan in your head as opposed to having it written down. It's possible to do it. Okay? And you're right, coming into our new normal with COVID-19 and the online classroom, you are learning a new set of skills. I learned how to use Microsoft Teams because now we do that a lot. I plan I do online classes through Microsoft Teams. I'm still learning.
Exactly.
But it's a new skill that I have that I can take with me going forward. I learned how to do the Google Classroom. I created, those emoji classrooms that people are now, all these teachers around the world are creating. I learned how to do that. I may not be using it, but I found it really fascinating. I say, oh, I can do this. You know?
Exactly.
So I learned and I did it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of learning, a lot of challenges, a lot of pluses, and how we embrace them is what counts in the end.
Yeah.
But now let's look at the emotional part of it, because with COVID-19, you have the social isolation, because you did mention that we are social beings. We get accustomed to being in the classroom, either with a teaching partner or being with students. And we're all social beings. We actually crave for that kind of interaction. With this new normal, we don't have the physical contact as much or at all. In some places, they're not even back in school yet. And you're finding that the social isolation is becoming more and more prevalent, leading to mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. And what do teachers do? I mean, how can they learn to cope with the social isolation? How can we, make it less or make them feel less isolated when we are in this new normal right now? Because, I mean, students are impacted as well. And we can probably talk about both of them at the same time, the teachers and the students, in terms of the social isolation and what strategies there are and how we can make it better, for both parties.
It's what is interesting. I've actually gone back to the physical classroom. Oh my goodness. It actually makes you realize how isolated the whole experience have been. Because the students themselves are really embracing the fact that they're in the physical classroom. And as a teacher myself, I realized, I was talking to one of my colleagues yesterday, and I was just saying to her, my goodness, we were actually exchanging ideas and exchanging stories, how you really felt trapped teaching in the virtual classroom. Because as much as you're at home and you're really enjoying the fact that you're at home, you had no choice. But when you actually go back in the physical classroom, you realize that what a difference the whole thing makes. As if, how I felt as if your face was covered and you kind of just start releasing all the muck that was on your face. When you get up in the morning and you wash your face from the night sleep, how you start feeling nice and light. That's how we actually felt going back to the classroom. It's, I can't even express it. Although you are aware that you have to keep the social, the physical distance in the classroom, as an educator, you cannot walk around the classroom, In some schools, there is there are the boundaries, there's a line on the floor that you have to remain at the top. Right. And the students in the bottom, etc. But the fascinating thing is, because we are social beings, you could actually feel your students and they could feel you. The only thing I miss is, you couldn't, you cannot come out of the square box until the students leave the classroom, then you follow after. but
Mm-hmm.
you're actually reading the body language straight on,
Mm-hmm.
the interaction straight on. Whereas on the online platform, what I felt was very sterile, that I couldn't communicate. I was communicating, but there's the barrier. You've seen the student interaction, but although you're saying to them, there's something wrong, you're
Right.
trying to connect with them, but you are not feeling it as much as when you are in the classroom with them. Because of the social being we are, you're feeling, the energy. You could feel the energy from the computer, but not as so intense
As in the
as when you're in
classroom.
the physical classroom.
Correct. Yes.
And the students themselves are beginning to embrace it. One of the things there's been a number of studies that have said that students, when they actually went back to the physical classroom, a lot of them, the mental health issue have been increased because, it was full on. They did not know how to start living again as how things were before COVID, because they now have to start to relearn some of the
Mm-hmm.
routines they once had.
Okay.
Because just remember that when COVID started, the students had a routine, the educators had a routine. You did things, certain lesson time, etc. So there was a routine and there was the interaction, etc. When COVID came down, it meant that all those routine had gone out of the window.
Mm-hmm.
So the student had no quote unquote normal routine. They were following a new routine, but it wasn't really a routine because they were in the house. There was no clear line between educating and being at home.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was just rolling into one for educators as well as students.
Right.
And they've gone back into the physical classroom and they now have to relearn those routine and those discipline.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real issue because in terms of the mental health, because it's like a full on, the mental health is now beginning to suffer even more so because they're now coming out of this isolation. They don't know how to respond to this. And what I've been experiencing is they don't know how to behave
Mm-hmm.
because they have been on lockdown at home where they were doing their own thing. And now you now have to teach them, okay, hold on. What's the issue? You guys are making so much noise. There's so much talking. And one of them said to me yesterday, Miss, don't forget we were on lockdown. And, everything was all over. I say, I hear that, but I also could say that you're using that as an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
No, miss, we now have to start learning everything and how things are happening again. Because remember, we were off school for 6 months.
Right.
Even though we were on the platform, it was still different because you didn't have school from 9 o'clock until 4:15.
Mm-hmm. It's hard
You
for them. It's really hard for the students because now not only do you have the discipline problems now because yes, they were at home pretty much doing whatever they wanted, coming on class sometimes. There's
yeah,
no way to control that. That there was no
yeah,
control there because some parents may not even, know how to control that.
yeah,
And coming back into the classroom, they have to get back into routine. And it's not the same routine they had before they left. Because
exactly.
now you have the COVID-19 routine to
Yeah,
throw into the mix.
yeah, exactly. Where, the teacher is far up at the front, and I'm an educator, I like to walk around my class,
Mm-hmm.
and the students are all there, and you're all there, and it's like, it's a strange, as you rightly say, it's a strange new routine, which is a COVID routine.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they talk, because in some of the classes, they're separated by table. So
Okay.
one student is on a table by themselves, and they're so used to, connecting with each other side by side in group exercise. They're
They
no
can't
longer
do it anymore.
exactly. The interesting thing about when they were on lockdown, there were so many pluses, I feel, as much as on the online platform. When I say lockdown, I meant on the online platform. I saw so many pluses because one of the things actually made educators became very innovative and very, very creative.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of differentiation, we were actually doing differentiation as it was meant to be done because the students were dictating their differentiation in terms of they did not want to come on, so they were not coming onto the platform. Whereas
Okay.
in the classroom, they had no choice.
They have to participate in the learning. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And the interesting thing about differentiating again on the online platform, if a student say, well, Miss, I cannot come on into the session at 3 o'clock, can I see you at 4 o'clock?
Mhm.
Because you're so concerned about your student, you would see them at 4 o'clock. So in terms of their learning, they were doing the learning according to their needs. That was
Okay.
very much in terms of differentiation, was very much as it ought to be in
Mhm.
terms of the package, because you were dealing with individual students needs.
Mhm.
That's what the computer, the online platform had given us. In the physical classroom, as much as you would like to differentiation as it ought to be, you couldn't afford to do that,
Okay.
because you have all the students in front of you in the classroom. But online, it's like one too many.
One
So
to many. Mhm.
exactly. So that's those are some of the pluses. It is challenging because this week I've had to do, what is called, in terms of, we call it splits, where
Mhm.
you are teaching in the physical classroom as well as teaching online.
Online. Okay. Mm.
I must say, oh my goodness. I started last Friday. It was last Friday because I had some students were isolating and some students were off. It is one of the most challenging things that I have ever experienced, even more so than just teaching on physical classroom
Mhm.
on the online classroom, because you are constantly have to be conscious that you have students on the online platform waiting for you to teach them. And I found myself, some of the students saying, Miss, remember the students on the online platform? Oh my goodness, I
And you
forgot.
forget them there.
Yeah, I have forgotten because I was in my zone teaching the student in front of me. And then I remember hearing, a noise. And when I look back, I said, oh my goodness, you're there. Because they would be talking to you because they want to participate in the session. But it is so difficult to do two things at the
At the
same
same time.
time.
I know exactly what you're saying. It happened to me today. And I mean, I teach adults, but I was working, we do a rotation. So I teach in the physical classroom with the adults every other week. And
Mm,
then I rotate doing online.
mm,
But even so, when I do go to the school, in part of my rotation, I might have I have a roster, and one of them might be online
mm,
because not all the students are back out yet.
mm,
And today I had one online, and I did talk to him at one point, and I said, okay, I will call you back around 1:30, just to check in with you and see what you're doing. Completely forgot. Completely forgot because I had other students that I was dealing with physically,
mm.
right, and teaching them and working with them. So when I was doing up the end of day report, I said, oh no, I forgot I was supposed to, call him back. And then he messaged me on Skype around 4 o'clock, right?
Mm,
He said that he was done working for the day, he's logging off. And I said, I'm so sorry I did not get a chance to call you back,
mm,
but it happens because you're navigating the physical classroom
mhm,
and you're teaching and you're still navigating the online, and something gets left behind when you're trying to navigate the two together.
mhm, mhm,
It
mhm.
does. It happens.
Yeah,
Luckily, I deal with adults, so it's more understanding. Dealing with children will be a completely different story.
yeah, yeah.
They will be completely left out, that you forgot them.
Mm.
But I mean, what do you do?
Exactly, exactly. What do you do? There is, because for me, when I did because it was Friday, it was last Friday, I actually had the split group. And then I had it all week this week, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. By yesterday, I thought, okay, need to remember. But in terms of tools, there's sometimes you don't have all the tools in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Because yesterday was a classic one. My computer did not have a microphone. My computer did not have a camera. So then we decided to call the student, FaceTime them. Two of the friends FaceTime them. Then you had the telephone standing up against a bottle. It's like all of these things because My computer wasn't allowing me because I had no camera and I had no mic. So the alternative was, okay, we need to get them to participate in the session. And students say, okay, I'll call them. And, the phone couldn't stand up because there was no stand for this phone. So therefore, they had a bottle. So you had to stand it against the bottle. And then I had to teach them. So those are some of the things that this new normal have actually exposed us to. That's why I say to you, we had to be even more innovative and creative.
Mm-hmm.
As teachers, we actually think on our feet all the time.
All the time.
Right?
That's a lot of pressure.
It is. It's even more so now that we have to think about the student, think about the mindset, think about the mental health, and find ways of the tools that you've got to work with the tools you've got to do the best job you can.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very interesting. And there's so many learning that's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are a lot of stresses because I have a lot of educators, especially from the US, reaching out to me and telling me, they're actually finding the online platform so challenging. And so many of them saying that every day there isn't one day that they're not crying.
Wow.
So it's really because it seems to be more American because a lot of them are still on the online platform. Whereas in the UK, we are back in the physical classroom. Most of us are. If we're doing split or 1 week on the physical classroom and 1 week online, but we have we still have the contact. But the sad thing is the educators are saying to me that they're crying every night. And it's a concern here. And I say to them that you need to start looking at it as you're a new teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said to you earlier on, that this is your first assignment. And when you start looking at it like that, it reduces the stress because you cannot do everything. And that's where educators, we feel that we could cover every single thing they need to learn regarding the online platform. Hell no.
No, it won't happen. You learn daily. You learn little things daily, but you probably will never learn all of it.
Of course not, because we didn't as physical teachers. Even when we were teaching in the physical classroom, when we became new educators, we did not learn everything and how to, classroom manage every student. We learned as we went along. So I say to the educators, this is what you need to do. You need to remind yourself, okay, I am a new teacher. Forget about the years you've had. That doesn't count anymore. You are doing an online platform. So you need to say you're a new teacher. You just come in and how you plan your lessons and you are learning as you go along. And also remember, we are all in this together.
And
now, give yourself
sorry. Do you find the administrators of the schools helping the teachers along as much as they should, or are they struggling and learning this whole new thing, this thing as well?
It's interesting. I do feel that they're also learning at the same time. However, the area where I feel that they're actually falling down is you need to encourage your educators. Listen, we are all in this together. This is new to me. I'm learning at the same time. I understand what you're going through. But for some areas, the administrators are not saying that. Instead, they're actually putting pressure on the educators, saying that you are not fulfilling your role. Another educator reached out to me again from America because I do, online platform, etc. And I'm in a number of groups, and I put a lot of things out in the groups. One of them said that one of the administrators have said to them, the group of teachers, that you are failing your student and you're failing the institution. How could you say that to educators at this time? You see, what you are now doing, you're pushing your educators over the edge, including the mental health. Because if an educator is thinking that I am not good enough, they already feel that they're good. They already feel that they are not good enough because we are now doing this new platform. And because you're not able to get it right all the time, you're feeling that you're failing your student anyway. And you feel that you're not good enough. And instead of the administrator supporting you to empower you, they're actually digging the hole for you.
A little bit deeper. Yeah, digging it deeper for you.
Exactly. So it's throwing educators over the bridge. Hence the reason why we have so many educators are now saying that the mental health, the stress level is over and above average. Because when you're having administrators not supporting you and telling you that you're failing the student, you already have those chatter in your head anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are looking at how much your students are learning, you are looking at how much they're not coming onto the platform, you are looking at how some of them don't understand the platform, because the platform is not for every student.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also aware that not every student have the resources to access the platform.
That's
So you
another
know
challenge.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So you know that you're not reaching those students. And then you have administrators saying to you that you're failing. Whoa, that's a big blow.
And I always meant, I mean, in my show last week, it was something I did on Saturday. And I noted that what happens in the classroom is a reflection of the teacher and a reflection of what we might be doing or what we're not doing.
Mm.
And this whole thing of not reaching the students the way that we want to, they won't be performing the way we would like them to perform, now comes back onto us.
Of course.
And yet the administrators adding the additional stress and telling them you're not performing. But teachers are in a new normal. Yeah. They're learning new things. They're learning new skills. They're navigating the online platform. They're navigating the split or hybrid learning, as we call it, which is a challenge. They need the support.
Yeah.
They need the support of the parents, because we have parents out there that will stress them even more.
Yes.
Okay. They need the support of the administrators of their schools, and they need the support of the higher uppers.
Yeah.
At the ministerial level. Got to cut them some slack here and give them, the tools that they need. Make sure the students have what they need to make this all very successful. And parents have a large part to play in this as well, in terms of helping the students navigate and helping the teachers navigate. I spoke to someone on Saturday, the show I did on Saturday, that I was invited to talk on. And one of the educators, I actually worked with her a few years ago. And she mentioned to me that there are a couple of good things coming out of the learning for them, for her, with the online learning, with the children. And that was a connection that she was able to make with the parents. That was one of the pluses, And she said that before, when you're in the physical classroom, you may not be interacting with the parents as much. But she found when she was online with the students and the parents were there, because they have to be there, or they should be there, she was able to talk to the parents. She had more conversations with the parents, which she found was a big plus for her.
Yeah.
In this whole new normal. She said, because that would not happen on a regular daily basis in the physical classroom, because you're not talking to everybody at the same time,
Yeah.
But when you're doing the individual or you're doing the classroom learning online, she's able to talk to the parents at the same time while they're learning.
Yeah, that's definitely what a lot of educators have said, me included, because they're there.
They're there.
Right? Parents evening, they're not coming. They're not coming to parents consultation. But on the online platform, they're there. So, when you actually finish your class, you can actually say, can I have a quick word?
Exactly. We have that quick communication with them. It's instantaneous. Yeah. There's no having to wait on, the meetings and things. So that's one of the pluses. But again, the students, I don't know about you, but in terms of the students, what we've learned from the students themselves in the classroom, have they said anything to you about how they felt during COVID?
Oh my goodness, yes. What I did was, when I got back to the school, because my background in psychology, I felt it was essential that I actually communicated to them on that. Although I started 1 week after they've started, the students started a week after me because I was late in starting. And I felt that was important that I find out how they felt during COVID. The way they felt was it was quite sad.
Mm-hmm.
Some told me that they felt lost, they were depressed, they
Mm.
contemplated suicide.
What else?
They, it was, I had to actually made referral, for outside support for two students because the feeling of suicidal was quite great,
Mm-hmm.
because one of them said they felt so trapped that they couldn't go out or connect with their friends. They say, how much time could you be on the phone? Because not all the time you like to be on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because one student who considered suicide said to me that she just felt so alone because she did not want to be at home with her parents
Oh,
because they didn't have that kind of communication.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
So for her, it was, what else could I do? So I said to her, I am so happy that although you thought of it, you didn't carry it out.
Mm-hmm.
So after the session, she and I had a lot of, I had to talk a lot to her, etc. And out of my classes, out of 2468, probably about 120 students I had, there were at least 4 to 5 who considered suicide. And that was quite high for me.
That is very high.
Exactly. The sad thing about it, all the things that were pointing towards the isolation, the lack of routine, the fact that they could not go out when they want to, they were trapped with family, which that's something they didn't normally want to do. However, I had some students who enjoy lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Some students said they enjoy lockdown because they got to know their family a lot more, because mom and dad wasn't rushing off to go to work, and they had young siblings, so they actually got to know the babies a lot more. And they felt more connected. Some of them say to me that they started a business during COVID, nail and hair, whatever, so that was another thing. And some of them took up hobbies, doing different art, etc. But what was concerning to me was a lot of them, 9 out of 10 of them, felt isolated,
Right.
because young people are social, even more social beings than we as adults. And for them, their life was on the streets, and their life was interacting with their friends. And it's not only interacting on the telephone, the physical interaction for them was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, when school reopened, a lot of them said to me, oh my goodness, I am so happy that we're back to school. And it was singing the praises of, although they hate school, but it
Yeah.
meant they were all there to socialize. So they were telling me flat out, Miss, I know that you're here to teach us, but for us, the main thing is we're socializing with our friends, and that's what I come to school for. And I just had to laugh because they were being honest.
They were being honest. Yeah, they were impacted.
Exactly, exactly.
So they
You
want
know,
to be with their friends. Learning
exactly.
is on the side right now. It's just socializing that's important for them. Is taking priority for them now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. So I mean, so teachers and students both experience some of the very same
Yes.
things during COVID. The whole isolation, the depression, the anxiety of being alone, or
Yeah.
just, and now with the new normal and going back into school, whether it's online totally, whether it's the physical classroom, or whether it's a hybrid level of learning,
Mm.
there are the challenges that come with it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I mean, there are the pluses, there are the challenges. And just to recap a little bit of what you said earlier on, you have encouraged the teachers or the educators to embrace the new things that they're learning
Yeah. Yeah.
and look at
Because
it as a new start, look at it from fresh eyes in terms of,
mm,
okay, you're now starting to teach.
mm,
What did you do at that point? So get back into the learning, embrace it, and acknowledge that this is something new for us. It's not going to change for a while because we don't know
exactly.
what's going to happen with COVID. I mean, if it's ever going to go away, we're going to have to learn to live with it for a while. It's just how we do that and do it positively.
Exactly. Because you see, as I keep on saying to my educators, it's like the more you fight against it, the worse it is for you in terms of your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like pushing against a wall. The wall is there. So what you need to do is try to navigate around the wall
Around
or
that.
over the
Mm-hmm.
wall.
Mm-hmm.
So That's how we need to see that. Because there's no point in, fighting against it and feeling frustrated. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to help because it's still there.
Right.
So the best thing to do is find a way to navigate it and discuss it. Because the more you discuss your challenges, the more someone is going to share, well, that's not a challenge. Have you looked at it? It could be a plus if you look at it like this. And that's what I constantly have to be saying to myself and to my educators. Because the more you start looking at it as, oh my goodness, the more it becomes a really mountain of an issue which you cannot, deal with. So the
Mm-hmm.
more you start looking at it, okay, it is there. I know it's there. There's nothing I could do about it. Let me see what I could get from it in terms of the plus. Because we also need to remember every negative situation, there must be, and there is always a plus. It's looking at it from different angle
Mm-hmm.
to see the plus and making the plus a bigger plus.
Okay. So that's all about the mindset that you think that we need
Exactly.
to embrace. Mm-hmm. The change in
Exactly.
mindset. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it is so important. And we need to learn from our students because, yes, they're very resilient, and young people are. But there's sometimes when they're saying certain things to us as educators, forget about you being an educator. You're
Mm-hmm.
now a child again in terms of learning with your student. And the more we start seeing it as we are learning together with our students, the better it is for us and the greater it is for us, and the more that our students would learn and we would learn.
Mm-hmm.
Educators need to stop feeling and giving out the impression that they have all the answers. Sorry, I'm saying to my students, you guys know I'm not really, it's like yesterday, I saying to my student, you guys know I'm not very techie, right? Because it's like in some of the classroom, they have this, it's a fantastic interactive board. But in most schools, the interactive board, or in most classroom, it's a small interactive board. But this one, you just press it and everything comes, forget about the computer. Everything is on the interactive board. So I'm saying to them, hi guys, this is my second time with this interactive board. I don't understand it. I don't know what to do. So if you guys want me to use this interactive board, you guys need to come and show me how to use it. And they were just killing themselves laughing. I said, I'm not techie. I said, I'm learning, but I am not there yet.
And
And
it's okay. It's okay to be not perfect, and it's okay not
exactly,
to know everything. And it's okay
exactly,
to say that.
exactly. You see, the more as educators we start embracing that we don't know everything, the more we are going to find our life easier. We
Mm-hmm.
are not, you need to see it as, yes, you're an educator, but you are also a facilitator. You are also meant to empower your student to learn, not demotivate your students. So by empowering them, it means that you are supporting them to learn and enabling them to do things themselves,
That's
right?
right.
The more you feel that, the more you are feeding your students, you are not supporting your students. And the way you are not going to feed your student is you realize that you don't have all the answers. Because the minute you start thinking that you have all the answers, you are setting yourself up to fail. Hence the reason why we as educators, we are so very, very stressed because we are putting it out there that as educators, we have all the answers. Hell no. If people want to feel that I am not a good educator, that's their problem.
Mm-hmm.
My role is to empower individual.
That's
My
right.
role is to be innovative. My role is to support individuals. My role is to ensure that they know how to do something by me being the scaffold.
Right.
That's my role as an educator. And I feel that as an educators, the more we start embracing that, the easier our life will be. It doesn't matter if the children are 3 years old. Our role is to empower them.
Empower them.
Not exactly, not disempower. And the sad thing is, educators feel that they need to be feeding. No, you don't. When you feed, it doesn't make successful individual. It makes individual who become dependent.
That's
And
right. And we
that's my
want to feel
problem.
independent individuals. who can do things in society and be functional in society.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what we are supposed to be doing.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what educators now need to start embracing with this new normal. Because you see, the more you keep on planning, over planning, and planning, over planning, you realize when you get on this online platform, you cannot teach everything because the computer isn't working for a start. And then you realize you have to find an alternative method to teach your students.
So we have to be creative as well.
Exactly. So therefore, you cannot expect to learn everything on this online platform. It's not going to work.
Right.
And something I say to educators, I was saying that to my colleague yesterday. I said to her, one of the things educators need to start dashing away is superhero. Sorry, I am not a superhero. I am an educator, because the minute you start taking on the label and the program, there come the expectation. And we need to realize that when we are taking on other people's labels and other people's program, it then becomes the expectation of what we have to deliver. And I cannot do that. So that's the reason why I do not take on the label of a superhero, because I am not a superhero. I cannot perform as a superhero, and superheroes belong in the Disney channels. It is not a label that I attach to myself, because the minute you start attaching that, they then expect extraordinary things from you.
And when that happens and you fail, what
You
happens?
become, exactly. And then they start saying, oh, you're a bad teacher. Really?
I know. The stigma
Exactly.
will then follow you forever, you know.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, Debbie. This has been amazing. We've been on here 45 minutes already. It's been amazing.
Wow.
Thank you. I'm just going to, just say it's been a pleasure meeting you, because I know I met you through Michelle a couple months ago, and you have so much to offer. I love what you shared with us this evening about the whole mindset and the teachers having to embrace the new normal and what we are learning. And what I want you to do, I will share your links on the Facebook page as well. And and hopefully we will catch up soon and have lots more to talk about.
Yes. Thank you so very much for inviting me. I really, really enjoyed it. It's fantastic.
I love you. I mean, I appreciate the time you took. I know the time difference is like 5 hours, and you should be in bed by now. So thank you once again.
No problem. It was my pleasure.
Okay. And teachers out there, I want to just give a little quote with the teachers that your mental health is priority.
Yes.
Your happiness is an essential.
Yes.
And your self-care is a necessity. Because if we don't have all those three things in place, we will be in a position where we can't do what we are meant to do, which is to inspire and empower our learners. Okay?
Yep.
So have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Debbie, once again. And I want everyone to stay safe.
Thank you very much for having me on, and have a fantastic weekend. Stay blessed.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.